So I just watched a couple of S25 Ultra versus S24 Ultra reviews, and most of them sounded exactly the same, pointing out the fact that the S25 Ultra is basically a more expensive version of the S24 Ultra with mostly very minute differences. Like take the design for instance. Samsung just took the S24 Ultra, trimmed down the corners, shredded down the curved sides and make them look flat, and maybe then bought cheap camera rings from RJ Mobile and then slapped them onto the camera with a 5 rupee Fevicol gum. Like basically zero efforts in the design. Like the camera rings are falling off if pulled out. They didn't even bother to stick them properly. The display, which was around 6.84 inches on the S24 Ultra, went up a little to around 6.9 inches. Nice. A 0.9mm size difference that most wouldn't even notice, so you can't call this an upgrade, as they just reused the same display of the last year's S24 Ultra but slightly trimming down the bezels. But that's still okay, as the display was already pretty good. But what's not okay is the fact that last year's Gorilla Glass Armor outperformed this year's Gorilla Glass Armor 2 in terms of scratch resistivity, at least, as according to Jerry Riggs' video. Last year on the S24 Ultra, the scratches started to be visible from around the level 7 with deeper grooves from around level 8, but this year it's from level 6 and deeper grooves from level 7, so it's kind of a downgrade. And what made things worse for Samsung is the decision to remove Bluetooth support on their SPen, which helped you to control your Ultra phone wirelessly, like taking photos without even clicking the shutter button on the screen, and some air gestures, as according to Samsung, people didn't use it as much, so it was a waste of money. Just like the way they thought giving a charger inside the box was a waste of money, after mocking Apple of doing the same. They just want you to buy the smartwatches, as you could wirelessly control your Samsung phone with that too, but you have to pay a hefty amount for that, which I assume people who are already buying expensive devices can afford, but that nowhere justifies of removing one of the key features of the S Pen, making it basically over 50% less useful. And I wouldn't be surprised if they completely remove the S Pen from next year. The only big upgrade would be the use of this year's flagship Snapdragon chipset, that's the Snapdragon 888 for Galaxy. So your performance is upgraded now, even though most people would barely notice this, as most of them are only going to play BGMI or Free Fire mainly, that could be played pretty much flawlessly on the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 on the S24 Ultra, or the 8 Gen 2 on the S23 Ultra, or even on the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3. Yes, some AI features now would work smoothly and faster than before on the device due to its increase in power. Overall performance is an upgrade, but a lot of people will find it a hard time to find the difference between this and the S24 Ultra Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. And the storage and RAM situation is around the same, where you get 12GB LPDDR5X RAM and 256GB or 512GB for both of the versions, or 16GB LPDDR5X RAM and 1TB storage option for the S25 Ultra. Another sort of a big change will be in the cameras, where the 12MP ultra wide angle camera on the S24 Ultra has been replaced by a much better 15MP ultra wide angle camera, but rest of the camera specifications are the same. Now yes, there will be a difference in camera outputs, and the S25 Ultra might take a win in most scenarios, but again not by a big margin. I find it pretty funny now when people are literally zooming in deep into the photos to find out any differences, which an average user would almost never do. So that itself explains how little of a difference is there in the cameras now. Like yes, you might find differences every now and then, but again not major differences, be it in photos or in videos. Little differences would be there, but you're not paying so much money for little differences, right? The software is almost around the same, you get all the AI features in both and 7 years worth of upgrades. Yes, the S25 Ultra will get one more year of updates, as it is the latest one between the two, but its overall optimization and everything is pretty much the same. Yes, the AI features will likely work a little better on the S25 Ultra, but again basically no big noticeable difference. And 60 to 70% of this year's Samsung event was just based off of this AI revolution that Samsung is creating, and that was basically the event, which I'm pretty sure that more than half of these features people will just forget in a few months and wouldn't care much checking them back. Some AI features are really good this year, but selling an entirely new device based on this wasn't really a pro move, but obviously way better than what Apple did with AI. Battery size is still the same with the same charging speed, but yes, the S25 Ultra is a little ahead in this department, maybe due to a better processor and a software optimization, but again differences aren't that huge. Yes, battery backup on the S25 Ultra is a little better, but these differences will absolutely make no sense for most people after hearing the pricing. The S24 Ultra as of now sells at around 1 lakh rupees for its 12 to 56GB base variant, whereas the S25 Ultra starts around 1,30,000 rupees without the pre-order discounts for the same version. So around 30% more for getting almost the same device with mostly minor differences. Makes sense to you? For me, absolutely not. I thought the iPhone 16 Pro series was the most useless upgrade last year, but this year Samsung just set a new record in terms of lazy upgrades. Just a new processor and a new ultra wide angle camera and a little better battery life for 30,000 rupees with basically a downgraded S Pen makes no sense for me. As of today, I think that the S25 Ultra pretty much sucks, just like the iPhone 16 Pro series. I feel like Vivo or OnePlus is doing a better job on their premium smartphones this year than these flagship brands. So yeah, Samsung and Apple has to do a lot of catching up. And yeah, so let me know about your thoughts too, and here's a video about which phones are yet to come. And as always, till the next one, this was Rideep. See you guys.